The legs crossing.
That's how I know she wasn't even proper. The legs crossing.
Nah. I'm loose.
Shake a loose.
Get loose.
What's going on, y'all? We gonna do another episode of the Peace of Mind Project today. We're gonna be talking about men's mental health, because that's the important thing we're talking about this month.
It's Men's Mental Health Month?
Yeah, June.
Don't play with us.
Oh my God, still chill.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah. Honestly, it was just
y'all
like...
really aren't on social media?
But listen, right? Like, all I've been hearing is this pride. So I'm just like, I'm just like not on social media right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Funny enough, I've been seeing more men's mental health stuff on social media than I've been seeing Pride.
What they've been talking to you about, bro?
It's really just the same things. It's been like, hey man, it's okay to talk about your problems. Hey, talk to somebody.
But the thing is, y'all be talking, y'all are actually chatterboxing.
But it's only like that because like no one ever gives us that outlet to actually speak. Cause so like you hold so much in, so it's like
That's cap.
Come on, dog. Well,
y'all
I feel
be
like
chatting.
No, I feel like
Y'all be chatting.
I feel like people don't chat enough. I feel like if you chat, you're probably chatting to the wrong person, or
That's true.
it's like so you're not really getting the best advice or the best like comfort that you need. Because a lot of people you can vent and talk, but what is someone giving to you after that? Are they helping you, or is it like invalidating your feelings, or they make it like, oh, you're sassy, or you're like, why are you venting so much? Why do you feel like this? So it's like it almost makes you feel like, what's the point of talking if you're not gonna listen to what I'm saying? You're hearing me, but you're not listening. You're not comprehending what I'm saying. So like, my feelings are invalid. So I might as well shut off from the world and not really say much anymore. That's me personally. That's how I feel too sometimes.
Okay. Wait, so like as a man, right, both of you, when you're thinking about wanting to vent or even like share your feelings, what's the perfect atmosphere you feel like you need to do that?
I mean, I personally don't know if I'm the best person to ask the question, because like throughout my life, I've never had the issue with expressing myself with people, but then I've also had a plethora of spaces to do that. So like it's more of I'd say I've been privileged to be comfortable to express how I feel and things like that. So I mean, I wouldn't say that my own experience is something that I could assume for other guys.
Okay.
Me personally, I never really had that space to do that. Honestly, it always felt like weird to do that because I never felt like it felt abnormal or like a taboo to really like express how you felt. So when the opportunity would present itself, I'd always be like, I'm cool, I'm chill. I always give that off that nonchalant persona. The man is like, it's cool, like I'm gonna figure it out. That's how I was, I don't want to say programmed, but that's kind of how I was in the program, to be like, I'm good. Like it's even though I'm not good, I'm gonna tell you I'm good because I don't really feel like talking about it. Because the space I was in before, like, what are you honestly going to do for me? What are you going to tell me that's going to tell me? So it's like, if I know you're not gonna really help me with what I'm going through, what am I talking to you for? This is a waste of time. So it's like, instead of wasting up my breath, just talking to you about what I'm going through, and I'm gonna be like, damn,
yeah,
I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do for you. It's almost like, what do you want me to do? Like, it was a waste of conversation. So that's how like I used to look at it like before. Like, if you can't help me, what are we talking about for? Especially if you're not going to like validate my feelings or see where I'm coming from. It was kind of like I never really got that, so I just kept it to myself.
And I think like it makes me think about the whole idea that like it seems like we're a little bit more like solution focused, where it's like we're only talking about it because we want to solve it. Whereas like it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but like y'all can just talk about it and just talk and just be like, whether or not we come to a conclusion about this thing, we're just gonna talk about it because I'm feeling whatever it is. Whereas like we as men, we're like, all right, if I'm gonna talk about it with you, it's because I feel like you can help me solve it.
Yes.
But if you can't help me solve it, what am I talking about it for?
I need solutions.
So it's like I think that's more so something that we, that's probably where the difference comes into play, because we're like, all right, like, what's the point of talking about it if I'm gonna just figure it out on my own or figure it out, But then it's like, we don't. But then I think that's where like the whole idea of men not really being allowed to express themselves and just sitting with whatever they're feeling with no solution comes into play.
Sis, what's festering up? Because I see it.
I feel like there are a lot of things that go in through my mind, because I even feel like you saying like being allowed. I feel like you guys are allowed, but it's what you're specifically looking for. Like even how you said, like one thing that was coming to my mind is like, well, what's your purpose for talking about things? Like the reason why women can talk about anything is because a lot of the times it's catharsis for us. Or let me slow my language a little.
It's like catharsis.
let me go slow
Catharsis.
down.
Hold
I'm
up.
over here trying to spell it.
What that mean? What
For
does
a
that
lot
mean?
of the times, for women, it really is just simply a release. This is
Yeah.
in my mind. I want to talk to you and let it out. I'm not expecting anything back. Sometimes you are, right? Your expectations. But I feel like for men, like you saying that, I feel like, if I'm being honest, you men decide to shut yourselves out
You
because
men sounds crazy.
most men, let me not say you men. Most men decide to shut themselves out of expressing because blank. Like you didn't fill in the blank. Like what are you looking for when you're trying to express?
But I think the reason, sorry to
No,
jump
go
in,
ahead,
but
go
I think
ahead,
the
go ahead.
reason though is because of the like, when we talk about like the social implications, the way society programs men, it's like, think about the response when a man just talks about that stuff, right? It's like, man up, figure it out. Like you're a man, you figure it out. Whereas if a woman is talking like that, come here, let me give you a hug. Like you're like it's okay.
I'll pet you real
We'll
quick.
figure it out. So because we're in our minds, we're like, all right, I don't have a solution for this, but if I just vent about it, the person I'm talking to is gonna just tell me to man up and figure it out. I might as well just man up and figure it out without needing you to tell me that.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So it's like, I think the social implication comes into play with the response that we get when we do become that expressive. It's not always like, oh, hey, come get a hug and, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Not saying that we want that, but it's just like, that's just what we're thinking when it comes to that point. Because it's like, all right, I'm going to just figure it out. And then when it's solved, we can talk about it after it's solved because, I don't feel it anymore.
Yeah. That's what it's like as a man. It also feels like for guys are also more logical, and then like I feel like women are more emotional when it comes to certain things. So like I'm not gonna, when it comes to things I'm going through, I'm not gonna deal with it based off emotion, because I feel like, me personally, I feel like emotion clouds judgment. So it's like,
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, that's how I view it. Emotion clouds judgment. I'm not saying like this, there's a balance, yes, but I'm not gonna make a decision based off like my emotions, how I feel, because like feelings are fleeting. They're like, it's temporary. Like I can feel one way for a moment, then in the next 30 minutes, an hour later, I'm not gonna feel that same way anymore. But the problem is still the same problem. So if I tackle it logically, I feel like I'll come out with it with a better solution, with a better mindset if I tackle it emotionally. That's how I just look at it.
I mean, yeah, you might come out with a better solution. You might come out with like a problem-solving tactic, but I feel like you completely gloss over like just the emotional process of it. And I think that's what the issue is, because it's like, I don't know, for me, and like, especially after teaching and all that stuff, like, one thing that I've learned, like, in order for change to actually have some kind of meaning to it, or for you to actually like move forward, you have to have the emotional insight, you got to have the intellectual insight. And if as a man, you're only operating from your intellectual insight, like, what room does that leave for your emotional insight to also kick in to help you understand how to deal with those feelings afterwards? You're never going to figure out how to deal with those feelings afterwards if you're constantly operating off your logic.
I don't know. Logic's been helping me a lot lately.
And here's the thing, like, that's cool. That's cool. Logic helps you a lot, right? I think a lot of times men are wired that way, to operate from logic. Like, I'm here to problem solve. I don't have time to think about how I'm feeling. But like, think about how that relates to just like, let's say you enter into a relationship and you're only operating off your logic. Like, what kind of relationship is that where like your emotional intuition, your emotional intellect is not also involved? That doesn't really make sense.
I mean, it brings that barrier, because now it's like, you can't, like I said, there's a balance that comes into play. Like, there needs to be some logic, but there also needs to be some emotional aspect to understand like how you feel is process it. Then like
They gotta connect.
They gotta connect. But sometimes as a man, in that moment, I'm not thinking. I'm processing how I feel.
How?
By thinking about, I know how I feel. I'm hurting.
Okay, so
I'm
he
going
said
through it.
I'm
I'm not gonna express it though.
He said he's thinking about how he feels by like, he's processing by thinking about it. But like, what's the emotional work actually look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I also like, I understand the mindset of like processing how you feel and then not allowing that to cloud the judgment, because it's like, and correct me and correct me if I'm wrong if this is not what you're saying, but like, I think as a man, like we notice when emotional thoughts are coming in, and we're like, all right, hold on, stay over here, logic.
Yes.
I need to understand how this is actually going to play out. I need to understand what I'm going to do in this situation but I think, so when he says like, I actually process the emotion, it's like, I notice when the emotion's coming and I stop it because I don't want that to influence the decisions I'm going to make.
Yes. Yes.
okay.
It cannot influence at all. Because once it influences it, it's now I'm making the decision off how I feel at that moment.
Right.
It's not,
Okay.
and it's things like, it's a moment thing. And I also feel like it's kind of like also like an impulsive thing. It's
Exactly.
not like a long-term goal because like, I'm feeling this at the moment. But if I think logically, I know like what I'm thinking logically is going to help me down the road. I won't look back like, dang, I made that decision off impulse, off how I felt at the moment.
Yeah.
Versus I think I thought about it, I processed it, I thought about each area like, okay, like this makes sense.
Yeah.
So now I can go into this place knowing that if I do this decision, I'm not going to regret it because I didn't think about like how I felt in that moment.
Yeah, and I think whenever we say like men are logical and women are emotional, it makes being emotional seem like a negative thing or like an
Yeah.
insult. But it's like, it's really not.
It's not.
It is.
Yeah.
I understand. A lot of times when we hear it on social media, it does come off kind of negative. It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
emotions are uncontrolled and things like that. But honestly, the reality of it is, y'all are just more set in experiencing emotional things, so y'all can navigate that a lot better than we can. Whereas we're like, all right, nah, if this emotion's coming in, I know that I cannot be logical, so I need to put this to the side. Because if I let that come take over, now it's just impulsive decisions. Y'all can be in emotions, but not be impulsive.
No.
Y'all don't think so?
I've seen some people.
I mean, speaking
Not-
from
I mean, of
personal
course-
experience, it's like emotions come in and I'm acting on them. I don't care.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on what comes up.
Okay. So I guess I'll rephrase it as to be like, y'all are just more comfortable with the expression of that
Yeah.
emotion.
Yes.
I get
As
it,
opposed to when we do it, we're like, dang, nah. We be spending the next 3 months, the next couple of days, be like, yo, why did I make that decision?
Yes,
Wow.
why did I do that?
And literally we just sit there with it. It's like, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, but we're just like, bro, that was the emotional response. Why would I do
was.
that?
I feel like you wanted to say something though.
I was going to say something. I don't know if it completely relates to that, but it does tie into like, there's something that has been ruminating on my mind for a while. And I think this is the perfect space to ask it, right? So if I'm being honest, I feel like you men cause your own problems.
You men, that's
Sorry,
Cause my own problems.
slow down.
I cause my own problems.
That sounded malicious. You
Okay. So when I say that, I mean like I feel like most men cause their own problems, right? So I have a lot of guy friends, and when I'm having discussions with them, a lot of their everything, their motivations, their goals, their grind,
Why
their
your voice getting all
I was gonna say that's your men
I'm
voice.
trying to
That's
mimic you
always
guys. I'm trying to mimic you guys. A lot of the everything that comes from like what most of my at least men friend tell me comes from the influence of others, and it spirals them. I'm not doing as good as others. In order for me to be a provider, I have to have 5 jobs and then do X, Y, and Z. Oh my gosh,
I
as
don't
I'm
wanna work
comparing
5
myself
jobs.
X, Y, and Z. But like the idea is like
That's
when I'm
unrealistic.
hearing these things from men, and not just like average civilians, when I'm hearing these things from men that I value, men I care about, friends that I love, it really just makes me sit and think, but you're allowing social influence, you're allowing your peers to be the dictator. Why
You're
can't
allowing
you
the
just express yourself?
narrative.
Like
You're
why
allowing the narrative of what it means to be a man.
yeah. Why can't you just express yourself even if you look like a simp? Why can't you just express yourself? Even if you don't feel satisfied with X, Y, and Z, but why is it that because you're scrolling or because you talk to one man who makes 6 figures and he said that he had to grind until he was 65 for him to be where he was, that you feel like you can't do certain things? It's always just pondered in my mind.
I feel like that's
why?
I feel like that's kind of both of us though, both men and
Both
women.
of you. Yeah.
Both men and women. There's a BBL epidemic going on right now. Where do you think that came from?
Let's be real.
Where do you think that came from? That ain't.
real.
You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing.
Hey, y'all strive for like to be put on that same place. And say,
Yeah.
oh, like come on.
But okay, so I will not disagree with what you're saying. I feel like the difference is that at least with the men that I talk to, as opposed to the women who are BBL warriors. If that's what you choose to be, that's fine. You know, for at least with the women who engage in other stuff, you know, by social influence, they enjoy themselves. They seem like they love their life, right? At least that's what it appears. For men, it constantly seems stress. I'm seeing more of the narrative of grind, stress. There's no fun until you make it versus that I'm seeing on women. But why is that? Like, why is it that you guys, because I feel like as we're talking about like mental health for men, that seems like it's pulling you guys down. Like you guys seem like you guys are struggling. Or
guys,
most men seem like
you
that.
guys, like, I feel like girls love this era, like soft girl life. I want a soft life. I don't know what a soft life means as a man. That doesn't exist as a man. A soft life does not exist as a man. Like, because the thing as a man, you're a provider. So the thing's like you have to, as a man, like we think long term. We think for the future. We know, like, at the end of the day, like I'm going to have a family. I'm going to have people who are going to look up to me, who are going to need me. So like, yeah, I can have fun because there needs to be a balance where I can have fun, but also have to grind. Because at the end of the day, like I'm leading people. So if you're leading people and you become a leader, you can't. There's some sacrifices you just have to make. And the thing is, like, it sucks that sometimes, like when you hear other guys talk about it, like, oh, they're doing this and a third. It's almost like it's competition, but it's also a healthy competition for yourself to be like, I need to do more, I need to do better. But sometimes some people look at it as a competition, and then you downgrade yourself, like, dang, I'm not doing enough, and then you do all this self-doubt, all this stuff like that, like, dang, I'm not where I need to be, I'm not doing what he's doing, I'm not doing that. That spirit of comparison comes upon you. So like, instead of look yourself to do better, you now like talk down on yourself, and you push yourself down like, dang, you're not doing enough, you're not doing X, Y, and Z, so you can't really do much anymore as a man. So it's like, it depends on how you take it in that time frame. But as a man, you want to be a leader to provide for your community, because you're leading people at the end of the day.
Yeah, because like that threshold for us is, I would say, is a lot higher. Whereas like we can see somebody doing better than us, and like it's not negatively impacting us, it's motivating us. Like, all right, say less. Like, you got there, say less. It's achievable.
I'm gonna turn up on you real quick.
Exactly. You know, it's like, all right, bet. You know, we're gonna make it work. You know, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily like a. I mean, for like a lot of men, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a negative thing in that sense. So yeah. But I understand what you're saying, though, where it's coming from.
And I like the explanation, and thank you guys for the explanation, because I feel like I've never gotten a thorough response to that. Like, I always feel like, at least for me, when I'm scrolling, when I'm talking to my male friends, I'm literally all like, dang, I like being a woman, because you seem like you are struggling. But I understand, like, when you are comparing yourself to others, it can be negative, or it could be a boost. It could be okay, this is where I know I can improve myself. This is where I know I could get better. So at least that idea, or like that picture in my mind, helps or soothes me a little bit better, because sometimes I feel bad. I was like, you guys are really, I know you guys are men, I know you guys already have social standards that you are supposed to be keeping up, but I feel like sometimes there's extra pressure that I always felt you put on yourself when it didn't need to be like that.
Granted, I agree to that, though, because like, you know, I think like we can get caught up in, like, we can be, let's say, for example, because I remember myself, I was 18 years old, compared myself to 35-year-olds. And in my head, I'm like, yo, you 18 years old, you ain't done nothing. And you compare yourself to a 35-year-old that's twice your age, that done figured out some stuff.
Where you don't compare.
You know,
Right,
and in my head, I'm like, and I'm feeling bad. I'm up all night trying to figure out what business I can start in the next couple of 24 hours so I can get to where a 35-year-old is. It's like, bro, come on, you know, pace yourself. Like, you're 18, be 18 and enjoy that process and keep going. But like, at the same time, like that mindset though, like I see it as like everything in life you can either make a negative or positive, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'm 18 years old and I'm seeing somebody that's 35 be a certain level of success. Who's to say I can't do that at 21?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's possible.
It's my thing.
Right?
It is.
But it's just, I think the important thing is finding out how to find that motivation in a healthy manner, as opposed to it becoming a toxic mindset that makes you sick and insecure, and then, you know, like you don't have any kind of happiness until you get to that level of success. That's really never a good mindset to have, because I think, like, I mean, if you hear like billionaires talk, and if you hear all these successful people talk, they always talk about how, especially athletes, they talk about like, yeah, the moment I achieved what I was dreaming about for the rest of my life, I started to think what's next. And a lot of them become depressed. A lot of them lose purpose, because they're like, all right, I've been working my entire life to get this, and now I have it. It's all right, cool. But it's like, all right, so it's like, that means that there's a lot more that is required, as opposed to just fixating on a goal type of thing. And I think we as men, like, we definitely can, you know, try to temper that so that we're not giving our entire life into achieving a certain goal and negating the the experiences of life, just because we want to get there. But yeah. I think that was a good. That was definitely a great combo for the mental health talk. Though.
That was solid.
Yeah.
Like the men's
was.
the men's aspect.
Y'all
just-
challenged us today. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I try,
definitely.
I was just like, hold up. Let
Yeah.
me make sure I agree with what y'all
Y'all
saying.
get away
'cause
with
y'all
too
be
much.
chatting.
We need to fix
Nah,
that.
thank you
Yeah,
for
get
that.
out of
Y'all
here.
be like, they chatting.
Yeah, right.
No, real live, thank y'all for actually listening,
yeah.
and not attacking us because, I think that might be a big part about
Yeah.
why we don't want to say too much,
And that's why I asked, because I'm like, when y'all think about even just chatting or talking about what's coming up for y'all, like, what kind of space do you feel like you need? Because men's over here talking about he don't know. It depends. But you're kind of talking about like, you need that space where it's like, I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to be, who said this? Maybe like Brene Brown. People want to be valued. People want to be seen. People want to be heard. That's across the board, just as humans. So like,
Yeah.
how do we maybe create that space where like just men specifically, also even just like black men, feel like they can do that? So
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll figure that out.
Shout out to the black men of this month, though. Like,
Definitely.
Yes.
you guys are special.
You're very
And
special.
you're valued.
Definitely. Find that person you can talk to, find that person you can open up to.
even if it's us in the comments, open up to us.
Yeah,
Open the
please
comments.
open up to
Just
us in
one
the
of the
comments.
comments.
We'll
Yeah.
definitely be responding for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Comment.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Like,
Thank y'all for tuning in.
We might be in Puerto Rico next time we record this.
Yeah,
we will?
I don't know.
possibly.
Maybe.
Oh, for real?
My passport gets valid. Then
Y'all
yes.
flying us out?
Yeah, we gonna see. See
Are we
y'all next
feeding
time
into
on the
the
episode
stereotype?
of the Peace of Mind Project.